this is Madhavi from KingMakers IAS Academy meeting you for this essay paper 2024 paper discussion. We have already seen 4 questions from section A and 3 questions from section B, and this is the last question, and I'm very happy about that. So we will be discussing for last topic of today, and we have understood a lot of things about how we can enhance essay that is for 1200 words. You will be writing totally 2 essays and 1 from each sections. There will be 4 questions as a choice in each of the sections and 1 question you will be picking up. So there are a lot of strategies that you have to follow. First, in picking what question to write, and then starting to brainstorm it, and then applying it in words, and then expanding into 1200 words. Then you are structuring it, and you are finding how to write it. You have to understand the flow, whether to put side headings, what to underline, what not to underline, what to highlight, what not to highlight, where to place the quotes, and where to place the examples, and where to place the facts. So there are a lot of things that goes into how you are presenting the essay, because first thing is content, and the next thing is structuring the essay, and the third thing is value addition of an essay. So this will give you an added marks, and totally you have to get around 100 plus marks. And if it is 120 plus, it's a very, very good essay. And if it is around 100 to 120, it's an average essay. And if it is less than 100, you have not met the demand of the question. So this is what we have understood so far in our all discussions so far in this essay paper. So now, coming up with the last essay paper, I have to give you one thing. That is, KingMakers IAS Academy in its last mains test program, we have reflected around 4 questions in this essay paper. In section A, 2 questions, and in section B, 2 questions, in which we have understood how UPSC is asking questions, what are the areas the UPSC has kept repeating, and what are the areas in which the UPSC is focusing on. So like this, there are a lot of things in which UPSC is asking questions. So we in KingMakers IAS Academy is able to predict this question, and we were able to train the students with those standard questions that UPSC is asking, so that the students will feel very free and very confident in attempting their essay. So this is what KingMakers is about, and this is what KingMakers is trying to do, and this is what is reflecting on the quality in which the UPSC is demanding. So with this, we will be discussing now this cost of being wrong is less than cost of doing nothing. So this is the particular question that was in the last part of the essay. So this is the last question, but this is the question which you should not miss, because this question is straight away giving you a 2 part of the question. One is cost of being wrong. The second part is cost of doing nothing. So the question is very clear what you have to speak and what you have to compare. So this question being very direct and being very, very important, it is easy to attempt this question comparing to all other questions that we have so far discussed, except for the things like social media or other philosophical questions. This question is relatively simple, because you can understand it easily and you can apply it, and you are able to gain lots of points and examples, and you will be able to write this. Because otherwise, in the other parts, it is very, very difficult to create dimensions and to apply examples. Especially in the questions like happiness question or adversity question, or in the social media question, it's very, very difficult to create dimensions. But in this essay, it is not very, very difficult. But I have given this particular thing. Friends, this is only a small approach. So far we have discussed a lot of things. Those things are only an approach. You may come out with a better answers than me, and you may give me a lot of points and a lot of examples more than what discussed in this particular topic. But let us now decode what is there in this particular topic, and let us bring certain examples so that we are understanding how we have to present this essay better in the UPSC standards. So, and apart from that, it is very, very difficult when you go to this exam hall, when you are given this answer booklet, and when you are forced to think on that particular time and with that question. It's very, very difficult. I know, because I have written all around 7 mains. It's very, very difficult. And that point, you have to come up with the right question and the right choice you have to make. And you have to bring all the points relevant to that particular topic, and you have to connect everything to that topic, and you have to create a flow, and you have to bring examples. It's very, very difficult, because even now when I'm sitting and brainstorming, it's very easy for me, but for the students who are writing that mains on that particular time, it's very difficult. So these points that I'm telling you now may not come before you in that particular exam hall. But let's put us a training mode, and let's discuss what all the possible points that we can write for this particular essay, because we can't ensure that we are able to bring all this essay into our bring all these points into our essay, and bring all these things in the form of writings, because once you start writing, you may forget the points that we were thinking in the brainstorming sessions. And when you are trying to create a flow, you may have to take out certain points, or you have to neglect certain points when you are writing it. Or certain times you may want to add some points which you have not brainstormed at all. So it is important that you are creating a dynamic flow, because every point that you have brainstormed, you can't write it in the essay, and everything you have to write is not mandatory. And certain points you may think once you started writing, and you may add up in the brain in the rough page itself. So it is important that you are open to many points then and there. It may come even after brainstorming when you start writing on your essay. So these points you have to add up, and please be aware that you have to add up where it is necessary, where it will be correct. Because if at all you are able to think about a new point and you have not brainstormed that point earlier, you may add it, but it may affect your flow. So it is important that whether that point is very, very important, and whether it will not affect your flow, and whether you can locate that point in that particular place in order to add value and in order to create a super flow rather than disrupting the flow. That is what you have to think. So it's important that we are open to many points, but these points we will ensure that we are able to brainstorm all these points in the first 15 minutes of before you are starting to write, and then we will start writing. But in between, if at all you have to neglect or delete certain points, please delete it. And if you wanted to add certain points, see that you are adding that point in the appropriate place, and it's not affecting the flow of that essay. So this is what you have to ensure. So it is important that I have, as a teacher or as a aspirant so far, I am understanding that there are lots of issues which we may not tell here, but we would have faced while we are writing our essay, because there are a lot of things we have undergone while we were studying, or while we were writing tests, or while we were writing the mains itself. So there are lots of learnings that we have done. So I may not tell every learning that I have done in this point, but throughout my sessions, I may be coming up, I may be giving certain strategies or certain hacks or certain inputs to you, which I have faced in my life and which I have learned in my life. So this you have to understand, and especially you should not do whatever I said as such. You should not blindly follow whatever I am saying. You should create your own strategy. You should think about what will work out for you, what will not work out for you. Then only please do that, and test that also. Because it is important that whether any strategies, if you have framed, test that whether it will work out for you. Otherwise, please don't follow that strategy. Please don't do anything new in the last final exams, because anything that is tested only have a foolproof results. Otherwise, please don't do anything different. Like if you are using one pen, don't use two color pens in the final exams. If you are following only one color pen, please follow the same color pen throughout your practice and then in the final exams as well. Do not try to use two color pens just because your friend is doing, or just because I am saying, or just because any toppers is saying. So that you have to keep thinking. So this you have to ensure. So then coming up with this topic, yes, the question is, the cost of being wrong is less than the cost of doing nothing. So the cost of being wrong is less than the cost of doing nothing. So here they are saying we have to do something wrong. So we have to do something wrong in order to learn something. It is better than not doing anything at all. It is important that we are deciding certain things. We cannot be indecisive, or we cannot procrastinate, or we cannot sit idle and not do anything. If anything is coming to you, if any opportunity is coming, you have to take it. If any disaster is coming, you have to manage it. If the previous question that we talked about adversity means a difficult circumstances. You cannot just sit idle and think that be fatalistic. You cannot be fatalistic. Fatalistic means thinking that it is your destiny, or thinking that it's your fate. Fate means what is written for you. So you are thinking that I have to become a doctor only. My father is saying I have to become a doctor only. But you are thinking you want to be a writer, or you want to be an engineer, or you want to be something else. But your father is saying, and you think that it's my fate, I have to become a doctor. That's not what you are for. You have to break this fate. You have to take your passion. You have to follow your passion. You have to do what you think right for you. And because when you do what is right for you, then only you will put all your efforts, you will focus everything, and you will put all your energy. Because sometimes when you are working as a doctor, you may become a doctor, but at the end, you may not be satisfied with that particular thing, and you may feel dejected, and it will create a lot of anxiety, or lots of sorrow, or lots of stress onto you. So that is how the life is. So life, if you are marrying somebody, your parents are forcing, or something as a career you are taking, that's not what you are for. You have to do what is right for you. But sometimes, yes, there are people who may not know everything, because they may not know how doctor is or engineer is. Then, yes, they can get a guidance from their father or anybody else, and then they can choose their career. So like this, there are a lot of things that is into a human's life. But let's talk about this topic, that is the cost of being wrong is less than cost of doing nothing. So here they are comparing the doing nothing with being wrong. So let's talk about the outline of this essay with the introduction, conclusion, and there is only two simple things. That is in the body you will only discuss about cost of being wrong and cost of doing nothing. Very simple. But we have to bring dimensions, we have to bring examples, we have to connect and compare these two things. That's very important. Yes, you can compare first thing. As said in the essay, you can say that doing nothing is more disastrous than being wrong. First, you can talk about that, and then later say that even being wrong is more disastrous also. So then you have to tell that. And doing nothing is also very good. So these are the different dimensions that you can bring in the part of the essay. But within that itself, you can bring lots of dimensions. So like this, you are bringing the essay, talking about comparing both the things, telling that doing nothing is more disastrous, then coming up with saying that being wrong is also bad and doing nothing is good. So this is how you are framing this particular essay. So let's talk about introduction. In introduction, I was thinking about most of the people would have brought this particular introduction only, I hope, because Wrote Not Taken. It's a very, very beautiful poem of Robert Frost. He says that he wanted to be a author, or he wants to be a writer, or he want to be a poet. So this is a road not taken. Usually everybody went into a doctor or engineer. So he's talking about the career that he has chosen, which is very, very unusual. So an unusual career that Robert Frost has taken, that is the cost of being wrong. So he has chosen a path which is very unusual, that this can go wrong. That is what Robert Frost is talking about. This can go wrong. But he's fine with that. He's okay with that. He's happy with that, because instead of doing nothing, he can choose a path which is very, very unusual, that can be risky also. Many startups, there are lots of ideas which is turning into a startup. Everything does not succeed. There are a lot of things which failed, like Cafe, there was a person who suicided, like the Coffee Day, Coffee Day, the person who suicided because of the issue, or many startups have not succeeded. But the satisfaction that they have at least tried that ideas, it's very, very huge. It's very, very important. It's very, very essential in our life. Even Thomas Edison, who has failed a lot of things, he has tried and tried and tried and tried 1,000 times to first find that this tungsten is the material that can be used for the bulb. It's important that these testings, these experiments, these failures are very important to understand what is not to be done and what is to be done. So it is important that we can introduce about the failures or being wrong or choosing one, and that can have all the risk in life, or choosing an unusual path, or choosing the thing that you are thinking is right, but it can turn wrong or it can be risky. So that is how you can start introducing this particular thing. And you can also talk about how doing nothing is not good, and doing something wrong or do something that can go wrong can be okay if you are choosing the path that you wanted it to be, or you're going by the passion, and this passion cannot result in a happy life or anything that is very important, or a success, but it's very you are very happy about that. So this film about the Three Idiots film, where this person who wanted to be a wildlife photographer, who turns to be an engineer, and then he turns out to be a dropout, and then he went into a wildlife photographer. I have seen many, I am from SSN college, I have seen many dropouts from a very eminent college like SSN, but there are people like, there is a lot of film directors or cricketer, there are a lot of people who rise from SSN college. So there are lots of dropouts. We have seen many dropouts. You can give lots of example about these dropouts who have succeeded in the life. So they took the chance. This chance can be wrong also, but they wanted to do it and they succeeded also. So like this, there are a lot of examples that you can give. So this is how you can start your introduction as, and you can talk about Road Not Taken, Robert Frost, or you can even talk about J.K. Rowling, who has created this character Harry Potter, and who has written this beautiful book Harry Potter, and she has created tremendous followers. She was failing a lot of times in her life before that. So you can bring this example, or you can also talk about simply without any anecdote or examples. You can talk about taking actions and being decisive is very, very important. And inaction is death. Like how Mahatma Gandhi talked about do or die. So he's talking about inaction, or he's talking about we wanted this freedom struggle or we will die, or we wanted to struggle or we will die, or we wanted to do this or we will die. He's nowhere talking about we will sit, we will stop. There is no word of stopping. It is do or die. So this is how you will start your introduction as. And you can talk about, now I have framed this essay particularly about, I have introduced or started with cost of doing nothing rather than going with the flow of the essay, that is cost of being wrong. Now I am talking about cost of doing nothing, and in the second part of the essay I will be talking about cost of being wrong. Or you can do both the things simultaneously. In each paragraph, you can talk about cost of doing nothing and cost of being wrong. Cost of doing nothing, cost of being wrong. Giving examples, giving dimensions. So that way also you can present this particular essay. But there are, you can also write cost of doing nothing, how it is very, very dangerous, and how cost of being wrong is okay and not dangerous. And then what dimension I told. Doing nothing is also good. Doing wrong is very, very bad. So like this, you can create this particular essay. So let's talk about cost of doing nothing. Procrastination. So each keywords you can expand it to a paragraph. So you can talk about how procrastination is very, very dangerous. That is postponing. So that's very, very dangerous. That is, you're not decisive, you're not deciding, and you're losing the opportunity or losing time. Time is very, very precious. You can even write about a quote about time, how precious the time is, and then talk about how procrastination is very, very wrong. And then you can talk about the fear of failures. You are procrastinating or you are not taking action just because you are fearing the failures. How fearing failures is very, very bad or very, very not very good. So you can talk about the Thiruvalluvar's statement like Anjuvathu Anjamai Bedamai. Yes, you can write it in English. That is, you have to translate this particular Thiruvalluvar's quote into English, and you have to write the English version of this particular Thiruvalluvar's quote. If at all, if you are writing in Tamil, well, good. But if you are writing in English, you have to write the English version of Thiruvalluvar's quote. So this you have to write, fear of failures. And you can also talk about how strength and weakness, that is, every action is a play of strength and weakness, friends. So you are playing with the strength or you are neglecting the weakness. So this is how your action is. But you cannot always think that your action should only go by your strength. There are sometimes where you have to act on your weakness as well. So weakness is very, very important. If I'm not able to, if I'm thinking that badminton is not coming for me, I have to try and try and try. Then only I can succeed and stop my weakness or reduce my weakness on badminton. At least I can win a zonal match rather than going for a international, become an international player. So that's very, very important. So you have to play on your weakness, you have to act on your weakness, you have to work on your weakness, and you have to try reducing it. You cannot always play on your strength. You have to work reducing your weakness as well. If you're lazy and if you're not punctual, you have to try being punctual. So that is how you are working on the weakness. And it is sometimes the people are self-denial. They think that no, it is not for me. It's not my cup of tea. It doesn't come for me. I was the person who was thinking that teaching is not my cup of tea. So I was the person who was thinking UPSC is not my cup of tea. Or I was the person who was thinking that English is not the cup of my tea. So like this, there are person who is thinking that no, it will not come for me. Science and technology will not come for me. Or economics will not come for me. Or sometimes history will not come for me. I am the person who thinks that no, history is very difficult or art and culture is very difficult. But I'm very interested in about, I'm reading, whenever I get some books, I always read history books. So all these things you have to work on your weakness and you have to stop doing self-denial. Okay, if you wanted to trek the Himalayas, you can do. It is not the person who trekked the Himalayas, they can only do. Or the person from Nepal or Tibet can only trek the Himalayas. You can always do it. So that you have to understand. And you are thinking that you are not worth enough. You are comparing. It's very, very bad thing. That is comparing. You are comparing and you are thinking that you cannot do it. So that also stopping you from acting. And missing deadlines and opportunities. When you are missing that particular time, if you are not applying for UPSC this time, that's all. 1 year gone. If you are missing the opportunity or if you are missing the deadline, that's all. You have to wait for 1 more year. If you are still indecisive about whether to write this prelims or not, you will never write. You have to think about that. Think about it now. Before the notification itself, notification will come on February only. You have to think about now and you have to decide and start preparing now itself. You cannot wait till the notification is coming. Or even some people will be applying for prelims and they will think only 1 month before whether to write or not. Because they think, because the attempts are not considered once, even when you are applying, the attempts are not considered. Because if you are writing only, the attempts will be considered. If you are applying, it will not be considered. So like this, there are people who are indecisive. So, and neglecting social injustice is also wrong. So now we were talking only about ourselves. Individually, we were telling that we were procrastinating, fear of failure, strength and weakness. So this was a dimension, individual dimension. Now we are thinking about a social dimension. In the social dimension, there are something which is cost of doing nothing. If you're not doing anything about social injustice, if you're not doing about climate change, if you're not doing about anything that is, if you are going on the road, if you're seeing somebody is met with an accident, if you're not helping them, or somebody is teasing a girl or something, if you're not doing anything, it is very, very huge. In POCSO Act, especially in POCSO Act, if you understand, if there is a child who is being harassed or who is under danger or who is under who is victimized, if you are not doing anything, even after witnessing this particular incident, you are also a culprit. You are also found guilty and you are also punished. It is said in this POCSO Act. In the prevention of sexual harassment against the child, this is called as POCSO Act. Okay, so in this POCSO Act, it is mentioned that the person who is witnessing or who is seeing and not doing any action about helping that child is also found guilty, and you are also imprisoned for that, or you are fined for that. So it's important. So you have to fight against social injustice, or at least help a person who is faced with an accident, or you have to do something about climate change, whether it is individual or through an organization or through the government. So that's very important. And the people sometimes, they're not having any opinion, they are not having any thought, they are not having any views. If at all anything which is coming in the news, you have to have your own opinion, your views, and your own stand in that. That's very, very important. You have to think about that. You have to process it in your mind. You have to apply your value system, your knowledge, everything, and find a solution and find what is the right thing. Because it's very, very important for an UPSC aspirant to have an opinion, because everything is very important in our life. So that is giving us a lot of learning. So lack of opinions is also doing nothing. And you have to contribute for the democracy. You have to vote for somebody. You have to think, you have to have a political attitude. You cannot say that I won't vote because I don't have any choice who to take. You have to vote to somebody, whether it is the current government or the opposition, whatever it is. You have to take a decision in this. And ignoring or being indifferent is also very bad. So being indifferent to all the problems that are around us, that is very toxic. It is very toxic, to be very frank. If you're not worried about others, it's very toxic. You're a sadist or you're very selfish. You have to think about others. You have to do something for others. You have to empathize. And this was a quote which was there in the previous year question. You can quote this also. Time to repair the roof is when the sun is shining. This is about how you have to use the opportunity when it is knocking your door. You have to take the advantages, or you have to use the advantages that is there, like the demographic dividend or the renewable energy, because now the solar energy prices are reducing. So you have to invest more on solar energy, and so you can reduce this climate change. So time to repair the roof is when the sun is shining. It is not about sun, that is solar energy, it is about opportunities. So you have to grab the opportunities, or you have to repair the roof, which means the youth who is now in large number, they have to be skilled and they have to be employed in order to provide or in order to increase the growth of the country through this young population. Because otherwise, after 2040, there will be very less young population and more of senior population. So this senior population is a dependent population whom we have to provide services, rather than this youth population who will be providing lots of contribution to the economy. So we have to repair the roof. That is, we have to skill the population who is now the youth. You have to skill them. You have to provide them employment. So you have to repair the roof. So this is how this is one quote which you can use somewhere and you can substantiate. And then expanding this essay, you can talk about how doing nothing is dangerous. So now we have talked about what is doing nothing. Now we are talking about how doing nothing will be a problem. So now we are talking about how it will create a financial loss. It may create wastage of resources. It increases expenditure. Like if you're not this Chandrayaan expedition or the Gaganyaan expedition, if you're not trying to correct the problems, it will create a lot of expenditure. It will waste our resources. So Gaganyaan, we were correcting this Chandrayaan 2's problem with the Chandrayaan 3. And so we were able to succeed at least in a very short time. So like this, there are a lot of things we have to do. Otherwise, we will have to waste many resources. And especially in the water, we have to do something. Otherwise, water will be lost and we will not have any rivers and streams. So we have to do something about water conservation. And emotional problems also. If you are not taking the opportunity, or if you are not taking any action during when the opportunity is knocking the door, you will regret it for your entire life. You will be anxious about the lost property or the spilled water or spilled milk. Okay, so this is very, very important. So you and your self-esteem will go down, because you might not have taken this opportunity when it is knocking the door, and then you will be losing your self-esteem. So that's very important. And social loss also. Like a government, when they are not doing anything, it will create a loss of trust. And if there is a communal conflict, if the police is not doing anything, it will create a disruption of communal harmony, cohesion, social cohesion. It will affect the social cohesion. They have to do something about this communal realm. Otherwise, there will be lots of problems. There will be a lot of losses. Even during the Russia-Ukraine war, if the UNSC is not doing anything, it will create lots of disharmony, cohesion, problem in cohesion. There will be a lot of refugees. It is a problem within the Russia-Ukraine also, and it's a problem for the entire country who is there in the neighbors, or who is there very near to this Russia also, or Ukraine also, because these people who are affected by the Russia-Ukraine war are coming as a refugee to the European countries. So this Europe is also facing the problem of lots of refugees. So that will affect the harmony in Europe countries rather than only in Russia and Ukraine. So that is our major problem. If you are not acting or if you are not stopping this war, it will create a lot of problems. So that you have to understand. And you can also quote Mahatma Gandhi's quote that an ounce of action is worth a ton of theory. So he's comparing this action with theory. He's saying this action is very, very important than just giving a theory. That's very important. Cost of being wrong again. So this is very, very important. Yes, there are a lot of things that you have to try and you can go wrong. There are a lot of trial and error which you have to do. Even being a mother, it's a trial and error method. You will understand, you will do many mistakes, but you will learn everything and you will be a better mother very soon, or you will be a better parent very soon. It's a very trial and error method. It's very, very difficult. Even after getting all the advices, still there are things that is very special for your baby and you may go wrong. So like this, it is important that you can do wrong. So imperfections are very, very important, very, very natural for everybody. Man is not perfect. So he has many imperfections. So it is okay with that. You have to tolerate that. You have to allow it. He can do something wrong. He can take a decision which may go wrong. So there are a lot of things, even demonetization was a decision taken. It went wrong. That's okay. But yeah, it has a lot of implications. Yes, we will talk about how being wrong is also disastrous very soon. Okay, so I'm just giving an example. Being wrong, we were able, yes, Green Revolution, we thought we took it, but it went wrong. It was affecting this environment. So we took this demonetization and it went wrong. But demonetization was necessary in stopping the terrorist financing. Or Green Revolution was necessary in transforming India from a begging bowl to a net exporter in grains, food grains. So we were a begging bowl before the Green Revolution. So like this, you have to talk about how cost of being wrong is okay. And you have to allow imperfections, and consequences is not the only thing in life. Consequences can be wrong or right. What you're doing, what is your intention, what is your means, that's very important in life. Consequences are immaterial. You can succeed or you can fail, but you are happy about trying. So that's very important. And failures are stepping stone of success, and you learn a lot of things from failures and satisfaction of trying, and there can be a chance of winning. There can be a chance of winning. Yes, we tried this nuclear energy. When we won with that, we were able to create a safety nuclear technology, and we were able to provide energy through nuclear technology. Even after seeing this Fukushima disaster or Chernobyl disaster, we still tried this nuclear energy and we are succeeding in that. So all these things, yes, there is a chance of winning. So we have to try that. And reforms, revisit, relearn and unlearn. So there are LPG reforms which we tried and it worked out. We were very hesitant about that, but it worked out. So there are lots of things which people are very skeptical about it. Oh, what is this? It will not work out. But sometimes it has worked out. So like this, you have to think about how certain things can work out, and reforms and revisiting, if it has gone wrong, it's okay. You can revisit and you can reform it, and you can bring a better policy after understanding what is the implication. And every time you can relearn and you can unlearn what you have done wrong. So that's very important. And alternative perspective is, yes, you can talk about doing nothing is also a choice. Sometimes you have to stop doing anything, because sometimes there are things that you should not interfere at all. Because in things like Maldives or any issues so far, we have understood that in Maldives, if at all we have not interfered, it would have been a better relation. Or if you have not interfered in Bhutan or Nepal, it would have been a better relations. So like this, there are a lot of things. Even in the Jammu and Kashmir issues, we went to the UN. If we would have not gone to the UN, it would have been a better solution. So because we went to UN in order to stop Pakistan from being aggressive. But we regretted for this decision of internationalizing this issue. Because after we internationalized this Pakistan issue, so everybody started coming and telling they were trying to become a mediator. So this is very, very important. So lots of issues have been there. You can quote lots of things from history. So there are even Subhash Chandra Bose was very sorry about taking a violent methods. So that is very, very important. So cost of doing nothing is also a choice. And even Gandhi, during the wartime, he did not create a mass struggle. He said we will go for individual satyagraha. He said we have to go for a truce. Truce, struggle. That was the method of Gandhi's freedom movement. That you have to understand. And sometimes wrong is also costly. Like nuclear bombs. When you are wrong with any nuclear bombs or nuclear energy, it can create a huge havoc. So that's even we faced in Bhopal gas tragedy. You can talk about this Bhopal gas tragedy or any mishap that happened. So any mishap that happened, any problems that have happened after a decision, you can talk about that. Wrong is costly. But please do not mention things like which happened now, because it may not be proven exactly whether it is right or wrong, because like demonetization, you cannot criticize about demonetization now. Fine. So you can talk about the better things about demonetization, but do not criticize demonetization because it may be considered political message. So it is better you are talking about something in history or something which is from other countries. You can talk about how they done something wrong and it went disastrous. So like this you can talk about that. And impulsive action is also very wrong. And thoughtless and actions are very, very dangerous. So if you are doing something correct, be very thoughtful. You have to be deliberating more on that and then take a decision. You cannot just take an action that is very thoughtless, very indecisive, and you are very taking an action which is unilateral, rather than you should take an action which is multilateral, or it should be consensual, or it should have a wide deliberation, and then only you have to take that decision. So that is how, and you can also use Helen Keller's quote about how life is a daring adventure or nothing at all. Yes, life is adventure. You can go sometime wrong, but it's a trial and error method. You have to take that adventure. You have to take that risk. So that's very important. And act for better tomorrow. If not, tomorrow may not come at all. So this also you can talk about. Because like climate change, every issue is a very, very serious issue. If you're not taking action, that's all. Imperfect action is better than stagnant inaction. So that is very, very important. So after concluding, we will be also talking about how we can give lots of examples, friends. So examples are very important. So here we can use a number of examples like this. So I have given a separate slide for the examples that you can probably write for this essay. So here we have the cost of being wrong, these are the examples, and cost of not doing, these are the examples. So these examples are giving some lessons to be learned, and these are the things which are giving the lessons that are missed. So examples like you can talk about the Saddam Hussein's the assassination, wherein US invaded this Iraq and they assassinated Saddam Hussein because of there was an information or there was a allegation that he was using chemical weapons, but it was not found that he was using chemical weapons. This OPEC, there was an organization which was investigating whether Saddam Hussein was using chemical weapons, but it was not found at all. So it was with the misinformation or wrong allegation, this Saddam Hussein was assassinated and Iraq was invaded, but that left room for many terrorist gang like ISIS to come and penetrate this Iraq because of the political instability that was there. So talking about world history, you can give a lot of examples about what were the things that were done wrongly, like this nuclear bombing or this Saddam Hussein Iraq invasion. Talking about, you can also talk about the Chernobyl disaster, or many things that is very, very very, very costly when you are doing something wrong. So Japan's and Tesla, he was able to, and these are the examples which are negative. So these are the examples which is telling you that how being wrong can be very costly. But these are the example where there is a possibility of being wrong, but you have to take the risk. Nobody believed when Tesla said that you can travel on space, or space tourism was possible, or your living in space is possible. Nobody believed it, but he was taking that risk, and it is possible. And deep space exploration, recently there was an deep sea exploration, but it was failed. The millionaires who were traveling to the deep sea, the particular vehicle or the vessel in which they were going, it blasted and the lives were lost. So there are certain things where there are things it can go wrong. So you have to learn lessons with that. Even Chandrayaan 2, you can give an example about Chandrayaan 2, in which we learned the lessons. You can't expect everything to be succeeded in the first maiden attempt, like Mangalyaan that happened with us. You can't expect that success in the first attempt itself. So that you have to understand. And cost of not doing, not stopping this Russia-Ukraine war, or not bringing any reforms in this UNSC, or not reducing the climate change, or not working on or de-radicalizing or reducing this terrorism. You can talk about all these things, about what is the effect of not doing, what is the disaster when you are not doing. Even now we reformed our criminal penal code, but we have not still reformed our police act, which is a very, very old act. The Police Act is a 1860s Act, which is having a very much colonial legacy. So we have not reformed it. Though Prashant Singh case, it is talking about this police reform, we have not reformed it yet. So there are a number of things which we have not done yet. So it has to be done. And it is very costly when we are not doing anything about it. And it's very costlier than cost of doing something wrong. So that is how you have to conclude the essay. And again, going back to the conclusion, you can stop with this, you can talk about this quotes, and you can give all these things. And hope that this session was very useful. If you have any queries, please share your comments. And if you have anything to share with me, please feel free. You can bring lots of points. You can bring your own points, because you need not follow whatever we have written. You can just understand the approach, and you can write your own essay with your own examples, with your own quotes. So with that, thank you so much. Hope this session was useful. We will meet very soon for other discussion on 2024 UPSC paper very soon. Thank you. So with that, we will be concluding this particular essay, and we will be concluding the entire essay discussion session. I'm very, very happy about that. If you have any query and any inputs that you wanted to give to the peer learning, you can please use this comment box below, and you can try attempting this particular essay. We will soon correct your essays also. And if at all, if you wanted to give certain inputs for other friends who is watching this particular video, you can also share your comments. Thank you so much. Wish you all the very best.